Hi everyone, welcome to using ChatGPT to make rubrics. In this video, we're going to take a look at what the purpose of rubrics are, some benefits to using ChatGPT to construct your rubrics, designing rubrics with ChatGPT. We're going to look at a couple of different ways, and then finally we're going to look at how to embed those rubrics into your Canvas learning management system. So let's take a look at the purpose of rubrics. Rubrics are going to be an essential tool for us in order to evaluate student learning outcomes. Rubrics help us reduce the implied bias that we might have as instructors, and they're an objective way for us to score and measure student success against our learning outcomes. And so that takes us into the reasons and the benefits of using ChatGPT to design our rubrics. One of the major benefits is that it's going to save us a ton of time. As instructors, we're probably going to be updating our activities and assessments now that we have implemented AI and students are aware of AI and it is changing the landscape of teaching and learning. And so we're going to need to recreate a lot of our rubrics. ChatGPT is ready, willing, and able to do just that. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of ways that we can use ChatGPT to generate our rubrics. So in this first example, what we're going to do is go into ChatGPT and start a new chat. We're going to be pretty concise here in that we are going to first give it a role. We're going to tell it that it has a PhD, and we are prepping it for who it is supposed to be acting as. We're going to give it an audience. In this case, it's going to be our audience for our college students in our given course. And then we are going to give it a prompt and tell it what we want it to do. So we're going to right now just ask for some potential learning outcomes that can be measured against our standard here. And so what we're seeing is that it's going to start outputting all of these different measurable ways that we can describe the learning outcomes or measure student success against our learning objective. And so it's building this table. We're prefacing it that it's going to later put these items into a rubric for us. But the advantage of doing it this way first is we get to see what it spits out in terms of descriptors and criteria. And that allows us to then go ahead and modify and adjust and make some refinements if we wish to do that. For the sake of time here, we're going to assume that everything that it spits out here is just fine and dandy. And so after it has spit out its descriptors and the criteria, I'm going to go ahead and be okay with those. And I'm going to ask it to put these into a table format into my rubric. And ChatGPT is happy to do it. It responds, sure, no problem. And you see that it will begin putting into a table format rubric for us. What we should notice here is that it is not putting it into one continuous rubric. It is breaking down each descriptor for us, each criteria for us, and putting it into separate tables. And that's not what we wanted. So what we're going to go ahead and do is give it a little prompt and then have it regenerate its response. And ChatGPT will remember everything that we just talked about. And so it will go ahead and respond to this new information to give us a better output. And so now I'm inspecting all the descriptors under each criterion, and I'm looking at them realizing that it's not as specific as I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge that yes, this is better. So I click the little thumbs up, and I'm going to regenerate for a third time. And after I've done that, I can go ahead and read the descriptors again under each criterion, and I find out that this is much better and much more along the lines of what I'm looking for, so that my students will be clear in what the expectation is, and it makes my grading much easier because it remains objective. Okay, so that's one way to generate a rubric using ChatGPT. The other way is to actually feed it a much more descriptive prompt. And so in this prompt, I tell it that I want to have 5 levels of proficiency. I tell it what I want my descriptors to be, and I tell it kind of what I want my criteria to be for this assignment or this assessment. And so once I've done that, I'm pretty darn specific, and it will start spitting out a rubric for me. Now I can go back in here and reanalyze this rubric and make sure that it is as specific as I want it to be. There's no vague language, and that it's meeting what I expect from my students. And for the sake of time here, we're going to assume that yes, everything is great. If it's not, I can go ahead and make those edits now, or I can make the edits later on my own. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. So what I want to do is assume it's great, and I'm going to copy all of this rubric information. I can do this from this version or the prior version that you've seen. And I'm going to paste it into an Excel sheet. I'm going to paste it into this Excel sheet so that it can now be modified by me. I can change any of the words. I can make it more specific. I can add specific things that might be to my course. But I'm using Excel to do this, so we're all pretty familiar with Excel already. Once I get the categories adjusted the way that I want them, and I get the vernacular in here like I want it, I can go ahead and export this into a PDF file. The PDF file is going to allow me to then go ahead and upload it into Canvas, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. So once we have an assignment that we are ready to add a rubric to, we can do a couple of different things. If you are only looking to upload the rubric so that students can use it and reference it, it is totally fine to add a text into your assignment. And so you see where I have test instructions there. I can add a rubric line, highlight the line where it says rubric, and then go to my documents and upload the document, the PDF version that we just downloaded of the rubric. However, if you're looking to be able to score from the rubric directly and give students that feedback line by line from the rubric that you spent all this time making with ChatGPT, what you're going to want to do then is go ahead and add a rubric. After you've created the assignment, you're going to need to add each of your levels of proficiency, and then you're going to need to copy paste each of the criteria and descriptors. Once you're done doing that, make sure that whatever your point value is for the assignment is aligned to the point value total for the rubric. And so you can adjust the point value total for each of your criterion, and by doing that it will automatically adjust across the board for your different levels of proficiency. This does take more time, but this is much more effective for giving students that feedback that they're looking for, and this does fall in line with RSI, that regular and substantive interaction. So to wrap up here, we want to consider all the time we saved by utilizing ChatGPT to write our rubrics. We want to make sure that we are allowing rubrics to take place in our assessments so that we are ensuring that we are removing as much bias as possible. This allows students to know the outcomes that they are expected to achieve. And please do feel free to comment below so that we can all share our experiences and best practices, best prompts going forward. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.